Hello and welcome to Breaking Spines, my miscellaneous book review show for reviewing miscellaneous books. Now, I've been getting a lot of reading in lately through my work. When I'm not twiddling my thumbs in front of an empty notepad document trying to collect my thoughts on the writings of Katherine Applegate and Michael Grant, I work 10-hour shifts at a second-hand store, taking in processing donations, and the combination of slower workloads after 5 p.m. and a completely random selection of donated books means I have a lot of time to read a lot of weird paperbacks I would never have picked up otherwise. And they really don't get much weirder than Vertical Run by Joseph R. Garber. Published in 1995 by Bantam Books, Vertical Run tells the story of David Elliott, middle-aged business executive and Vietnam veteran living in New York City. When coming in early to work, his boss pulls a gun on him, and soon the 50-plus story office building is flooded with armed men who want him dead. Everyone David knows and trusts, even his own wife and son, turn against him. And now the only thing he can do is use the specialized skills he learned in the war to hide, fight back, and maybe figure out why everyone wants to kill him. From that simple, back-of-the-book summary, Vertical Run sounds pretty simple and straightforward, maybe even a little derivative, like Die Hard with a tiny bit of First Blood mixed in. And that's all I thought it was going to be for the first 30 pages or so. But what that summary omits is the book's second most important character, and easily its best character, David Elliott's imaginary friend. Because you see, David Elliott is batshit crazy, and has an imaginary disembodied voice following him around, commenting on everything that's going on around him. David refers to his special friend as a special guardian angel, and so I shall refer to him for the rest of the review as the Angel. The Angel's dialogue is symbolized through italics, and for the first bit of the book, you think he's just David's internal monologue. It's not uncommon to show internal monologue through italics. But it's around the 30-page mark, as David starts to have verbal arguments with the Angel, that you realize that he is a separate character with his own personality, opinions, and an emotional investment in the plot. After all, if David is killed, there's no more the Angel. If I was to compare the Angel to anyone, it would have to be Lorne from the TV show Angel. Lorne and the Angel share the same amount of sass, sarcasm, dry wit, and practical advice, and both want nothing to do with the actual high-stakes violence they've been roped into. It's so bizarre, and they don't really introduce the Angel. He's just always there, and you have that moment where you snap back and go, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? And from then on out, Vertical Run becomes this weird, tongue-in-cheek action romp that has a whacked-out Vietnam vet in a business suit making booby traps out of office supplies while his invisible friend tries to talk sense into him. The mystery plot is just as wild. By the end of it, we're juggling hushed-up war atrocities, drug experiments on soldiers, whistleblowers, Swiss bank accounts, a bitter, disgraced general hiding out in Europe somewhere, World War II mad scientists, super viruses, a black ops team who give each other bird-themed code names, secret science labs, and, actually, screw the Die Hard comparison. You know what this book reminds me of? Metal Gear Solid. This is a Hideo Kojima plot a few years before Hideo Kojima plots were even a thing. An underpowered soldier sneaking around a complex and avoiding armed enemies? A super complicated plot involving advanced technological and biowarfare? An elite team of eccentric combatants with a unified theme? It even has a lot of scenes of characters talking to each other over a radio. Did this book ever get a Japanese release? You can't tell me Hideo Kojima didn't read this book. However, the fun craziness the story offers is hampered quite a bit by some really ugly attitudes towards more sensitive subjects. For every scene of offbeat action, there are 5 scenes of a character sharing a nasty, sexist, racist, or homophobic opinion on something. For every clue David uncovers about what's happening to him, there is a scene of something nasty and unwarranted happening to a female character. It's just as overboard with these disgusting undercurrents as it is with its surreal action. Seriously, if you attached a list of trigger warnings to this book, it would go on for 16 pages. And here's just a sample. The book contains racial slurs, sexist slurs, homophobic slurs, violence towards women, sexual assault, rape, prostitution, the male gaze, flamboyant gay stereotypes, beheadings, torture, suicide, self-harm, a crap ton of powerful white men, and that list is hardly exhaustive. And here's the hard thing about all of this. It's not at all clear if the author is condoning or condemning these behaviors. That's really not a good thing. I'd almost rather have the late Joseph R. Garber be an obviously morally reprehensible author than deal with this uncomfortable ambiguity. This could be Garber writing out his power fantasy and sticking it to the whiny liberals and the minorities waiting for their handouts. Or this could be Garber putting this ugly behavior on display to show the readers just how awful the business world is circa the mid-1990s. I'm serious. This book straddles that line of ambiguity like nothing I've seen before. And I think whatever side of that line you end up falling on will determine if you find this book entertaining or not. Doesn't help that the picture of the author on the back of this book has him wearing a fedora, but I must remind you that wasn't the red flag back in 1995 that it is now. Myself, I think that Garber was on the side of the good guys here, and the book is lambasting all this ugly behavior, albeit not always successfully. The reason I think this is because of the Angel. His running commentary is constantly correcting David's less than stellar behaviors, especially his tendency to ogle women and see them only as sexual objects. The Angel is trying to make David into a better person, and since the Angel is a part of David's whacked-out war brain, a lot of this book has the main character seeking self-improvement in a shitty world. But on the other hand, the book does end with a woman in the fridge moment and our hero basically raping the main bad guy, so I remain hesitant with that opinion. Would I recommend Joseph R. Garber's vertical run? Well, that really depends on the kind of person you are. If you're incredibly sensitive to the topics this book raises, then you do better to avoid it. If you think you can handle it, then there's enough unique weirdness in the story to keep you invested that it might be worth a look. It is uncomfortably entertaining, if that makes sense. Thank you for watching, and keep on breaking spines.